Ruben Amorim speaks out about the Manchester United job and basically confirms that he will be the next Manchester United manager. We know that, but we will give you the details on that. But because we already know that, we're going to focus on a lot of other stories in today's news show. YORO returns soon. Harry Amas. Amorim has big plans for Harry Amas. Obi Martin, Kone, a few youth players could be integrated and used heavily by Amorim. And we know how good the youth players are and the youth academy is. And we know that Amorim likes to develop young players. We'll talk about that. Collier is injured. We'll talk about the latest on the injuries. Luke Shaw has another setback. We're going to give you details on Amorim's move to United and why United have particularly chosen Amorim, why they didn't get him in the summer. Ruben Amorim has spoken out about what he's doing, what his role is. Eric Ten Hag, how the players must respond. There's updates on Anthony being sold, Alvaro Fernandez and a new left back coming back in. And then, of course, Amorim apparently has big plans for Rashford, has had an idea for Rashford that is very, very positive. So, hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to today's news roundup. Well, we're going to round up all the latest Manchester United news in 10 minutes for you guys. If you have not already, please do go ahead and hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. So this is Amorim basically giving a massive hint that he will be the next Manchester United manager. A sporting fan has gone and said to Ruben Amorim, "Ruben, all the best in Manchester." He replied, "Thank you." He was in his car. He laughed. We all know he's going to United, but he doesn't want to announce it until after his next game as he does not want any distractions. We will get into more detail about that later on in the show. But I want to talk about something that isn't necessarily is Ruben Amorim coming or not, because I think we know Ruben Amorim is coming, so I think that kind of news is boring. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but since Ten Hag's been sacked, there has been a few briefs from academy sources about them not being happy about the lack of use of academy players versus Barnsley, how Harry Amas did not make the bench. There was a few negative reports. Now, I think that actually Ten Hag did utilise the academy well. He brought through Garnacho, Maino. If Dan Gore didn't have that injury setback, maybe Dan Gore could have even been utilised. Willy Camboala got minutes. The one thing I will not criticise Ten Hag for was his handling of the academy. I believe that Harry Amas should have been on the bench this season, considering we had absolutely zero left backs. But I'm not going to be too critical of how Ten Hag handled the academy because he brought some really talented players through. But Ruben Amorim is also known for bringing talented players through, getting the best out of youth. And there's a couple players in the academy that are phenomenal, but they will really suit Ruben Amorim's principles, one of which is Harry Amas. Now, Dean Jones has said there is a growing confidence behind the scenes that Harry Amas will have a better chance of breaking through under the incoming coach, as he's likely to be given more scope to involve. Considering Harry Amas excels in technical ability on the ball, getting forward, I think the left wing back role could suit him really well, because I think his only weaknesses do come a little bit physically and a little bit defensively. Of course, he's going to improve with age and potential, but I think Harry Amas has potential to do really well under Ruben Amorim. It was also said that YORO is still expected to return to Manchester United in November. YORO is set to come back in the coming weeks when Ruben Amorim comes in. And if you look at the profile of centre-back that suits Ruben Amorim, YORO's ability to play out from the back, defend wide spaces, defend the wide channels, also has the ability to step into midfield and perform a role that John Stones sort of did for Manchester City last year. I think how young he is, how good he is for his age, the profile of player he is, and how versatile he is in terms of his intelligence and technical abilities. YORO is also expected to be a big player under Amorim. I think Harry Amas and YORO are two young players that could really be utilised, but it's not just them. We've got Sekou Kone, we've got Obi Martin, we've got Lascelles. We're going to speak about the young players that Ruben Amorim may integrate into his plans. So, this was said by Everyday MUFC. The talent factory that is Carrington is just a constant conveyor belt of sheer quality. Lacey, Fitzgerald, Ibrahimov, Mantato, the Fletcher brothers. That's not even considering Obi Martin, Lascelles, Kone, who've recently joined. And then he said he hasn't even spoken about the under-21s. Ethan Ennis, Godwilker Kone, Sam Mantha, Wheatley, Bean Cheery, Bauman, McAllister. You know, Bean Cheery, Wheatley, Obi Martin as striker options. You know, I think Obi Martin is a striker that could excel under Amorim. Now, it's early days. The kid is 16. I'm not expecting him to get minutes anytime soon. But if you look at Chokerez and how is it this sort of physical monster, and you look at Obi Martin suits what Amorim wants in a striker. Harry Amas suits what Amorim wants in a fullback. I think players like Sekou Kone could really do well in the DM role under, of course, Amorim. I think, you know, players like Shea Lacey, Fitzgerald, they're very talented. I think Amorim could make it work. You know, Manchester United have so many talented players, you know, Bean Cheery as well. Godwilker Kone is just like an absolute monster at the back, that I think it's going to be really exciting to see some of these young players get minutes under Amorim. Because he's known for utilising them. And Obi Martin, I think, is one that will get a lot of opportunities. I think Harry Amos, Obi Martin and Lenny YORO, 3 players that probably be the most excited. Obviously, Lenny YORO is expected to get a lot of minutes because we signed him as a first team player. But it said that Obi Martin will celebrate his 17th birthday in November, and then when he's 17, he will be able to sign his first professional contract. Man United are already chucking him in the under-21s. He played 1 game with the under-18s, and Man United are already trying to throw him in the under-21s. He's seen as the third-choice striker. When he signed for United, they said after Xerxes and after Højlund, you're the third choice, not Wheatley. You know how Wheatley's getting a few minutes under Van Nistelrooy here and there? I think they will become Obi Martin's minutes, which is a shame for Wheatley, but I think in terms of potential, Obi Martin will probably become a much better player than Wheatley, but Obi Martin is expected to get potential minutes towards the end of the season, and Amorim could be the guy to do that. Here was a breakdown of all the Man United players that I think Amorim will likely keep, sell, and who will benefit from a style. I won't show you the full list on Twitter, but I went into defence and I said I think YORO is safe, the profile lines with the system, same with De Ligt, same with Leacher. I think Maguire would be fine, but I think he'll go. I think Shaw would be fine, but I think he'll go for fitness. Malacia probably doesn't suit the system 100%. Delo, safe technical attributes, be question marks about how attacking is as a wing back. I think Delo and Mazraoui have technical attributes to suit the system, and I think Amas will be safe if he reaches his potential in terms of youth players. So I think Harry Amas and Lenny YORO are 2 players I actually think could get minutes, and then Obi Martin at the back end of the season, same with Sekou Kole, potentially more. Now, talking of youth players, Toby Collier has picked up an injury and is unavailable for around a month. I did think he was injured considering we'd had no midfielders and he wasn't getting on the bench. And I was like, well, surely he's injured because why isn't Collier on the bench? We would have used him. Mount Eriksson was out. Bruno Fernandes was suspended for the last, the match before that. So, yeah, Toby Collier is injured, but hopefully he'll be back soon. I think he's a player that will probably go out on loan, if I'm going to be honest. I think he's a good player, but I just don't think he's going to get the minutes. And I don't think he's going to get the minutes under Amorim, if I'm going to be honest. So, what is the latest on Amorim? What is the context? So, Manchester United wanted to announce the appointment of Ruben Amorim today, but the manager did not want his sporting team to be distracted ahead of their game against Estrella tomorrow. So, obviously, Ruben Amorim's got a match tonight. This was said last night. And I think tonight or tomorrow, they'll probably announce Ruben Amorim. They just don't want any distractions ahead of his game tonight. It was said that Ruben Amorim announced that after the game with Estrella, he will clarify the entire situation regarding his move to United. So I think Ruben Amorim is going to announce his move and clarify it all tonight. So why have Manchester United gone for Ruben Amorim? Melissa Reddy gave some interesting context here. They said Manchester United convinced Ruben Amorim has the ability to deliver a transformation of their tactical identity, personality and proper football enjoyment. I think what we need is actual tactics and actual football identity and actual enjoyment. Now, I don't think it was all on Ten Hag. I don't think that Ten Hag is this awful manager that people try and think he was. I think some of it came down to players, some of it came down to recruitment. But under Ten Hag, there was no identity. There was no football to enjoy. And hopefully Ruben Amorim delivers that. He, took over Sporting at their lowest point and helped rebuild them to win a title 30 months later. As well as Portuguese and English, Ruben Amorim can also speak Spanish. Those that have worked with Ruben Amorim describe him as a good communicator with simple yet impactful message. Ruben Amorim is just seen as a man who can define the next generation's coaching, just as Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho have done as well. That was also said on Amorim, which is positive as well, someone that can communicate. I think the biggest issue with Ten Hag was his ability to communicate with maybe some of the bigger names in the squad. He seemed to fall out with them, and I think Ruben Amorim is sort of known for getting on well with the squad, being able to communicate with the squad, and he is seen as the next Pep Jose type manager. He is seen as the next big manager. Obviously I've got some concerns around Ruben Amorim, but in terms of the next big super manager out there, Ruben Amorim's seen as that guy, and we be getting the next Pep Guardiola at United. We might be getting the next Ten Hag at Man United. I don't know, but I like to try to look at it in a positive way. Say Ineos is going to be different. It's going to be a long-term project. Amorim is coming in. In terms of transfers, Ruben Amorim's imminent arrival could increase the chance of Álvaro Fernandes returning to United. Obviously, he's got a release clause. Sorry, not a release clause. He's got a buyback clause of about 16 million in his contract. Manchester United really need a left back. Under Amorim, it will be more of an attacking left wing back. And Ruben Amorim would obviously have watched Álvaro Fernandes in Portugal and may bring him back. The reason we got rid of Álvaro Fernandes was the Ten Hag told him to leave because Ten Hag said, you're not going to get minutes under me. Ten Hag didn't fully believe in Álvaro Fernandes and his ability. And I'm not going to criticise Ten Hag for that because he believed in Maino and Garnacho's ability and they were good. And maybe he just didn't think that Álvaro Fernandes was ready for the Premier League, and maybe he wasn't at the time. But I do think it was really silly selling Álvaro Fernandes when you look at just small little details. And by small little details, I literally just mean the pure fact that Luke Shaw was injured, Malacia was injured. Why would we sell Alvaro? I'd have kept Alvaro Fernandez. I wouldn't have sold him. Ten Hag was open to selling him. Obviously, I think he did think Malacia and Luke Shaw were coming back, but I generally would have rather had Alvaro Fernandez at left back than playing Lindelof there, or having to play Wan-Bissaka or Dalot there. I would have liked to give Alvaro Fernandez a time. I think he's a good player. He's doing really well at Benfica. He obviously didn't have the best loan spell. Was it Girona? But I think for me, it was a big mistake selling him. I wouldn't have sold him. I know that Ten Hag didn't fully rate him, and I think that Ten Hag gets most of his academy players right. And maybe he comes back to United, and maybe he just isn't good enough for the Premier League. But I still think it was silly to sell him when we had the left-back issues that we had. I think he could have been of use this season, and maybe we'll go back in for him. Apparently, Chelsea interested in Anthony, but it's not the most reliable source. But I do know United want to sell Anthony, and I think Chelsea would only go for him if they thought they could get him on the cheap. And then, obviously, Ruud van Nistelrooy has now spoken out about sort of being the Manchester United interim manager. He said, I think that it's important, and what's most important is to get the most out of these Man United players. All the games we will play until the end of May will give us a very clear idea of the current situation of the club and the way forward for next season and seasons to come. He said, during my talk, I stood in front of the team and explained to them what Manchester United stands for and what it's like to play at Old Trafford. I talked to them about the chants and why they are sung. It's a proud moment to share with the players what they conveyed on the pitch and how they interacted with the fans, but also with me. It only motivates me to do my best. He's saying, you know, he's only here interim temporary. You know, he's only going to be interim for a couple of games probably, but it's about getting the best out of the players. And I felt that, you know, we did set up very well against Leicester, and he did that. He said that he wants to help the club, even if when he, you know, Ruben Amorim comes in, I think he will go back to assistant manager and see out that. I think he wants to stay at the club as well. He said we have to see how it goes. And then apparently Rashford is eager to work with Amorim, who's ready to get United back to get Rashford back to his best. This was said by One Football that Marcus Rashford is buzzing to work under Ruben Amorim and believes the incoming Manchester United boss could be the man to help him get back to his best. And Amorim can't wait to get started with the 27-year-old who is convinced can become one of the most dangerous attacking players in the Premier League once again, according to Team Talk, and that Amorim greatly appreciates the Englishman's ability across the front line and believes he can improve his performances significantly in the short term and help him regain confidence. And I agree. Rashford, Højlund and Agate, I think, are the three players that could benefit the most from Amorim coming in. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.